I need coffee. Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Ariella. I make videos about medical school and my life as a medical student. If that is something you're interested in, please subscribe down below. I've got board studying coming up, which is going to be super exciting, and I feel like the boards videos just do really well on YouTube because the process is so mysterious that people want to know what other students are doing. Unrelated, but if you're a second year medical student, don't watch my boards videos. You should just do whatever your plan is. Don't take what I'm doing into account in order to adjust your own plan. Just trust the process. Okay, that's not the point of today's video. Today's video is going to be what I spend in a week as a second year medical student. I did one of these first year. If I recall correctly, I think I spent a lot of money. I kind of wanted to do one of these because recently I had a little bit of a realization that I was spending way too much in quarantine. I feel like when all you do all day is study online at your computer, it's so easy to get sucked into purchasing things that you don't need online, because these advertisements do a really good job of making you think that you need them. And in the process of learning about all of this, I also learned that, like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna explain this correctly. I believe Taylor Ferguson has her own video explaining it, but I guess when you purchase something online, there's information out there that companies like Facebook and Google have. They assign you this particular value that tells you whether or not you are a reliable purchaser from the advertisements that they're giving you. So you have your own index of whether or not you would be a good target for these ads. Those two things combined, I've been trying my best to budget and spend like a normal amount of money. With that being said, I think I'm just gonna catch up with you guys at the end of the week. I will keep track of everything that I buy and I'll keep the receipts and things so that you guys can see with me at the end, how much did I spend? Was it as much as I did last year, or was it more or the same? And also so you can just get a general idea of like how much money a medical student spends, because as we all know, med school is very expensive. Secondary goal of this video, I want Stephan to notice me. I think that's enough for the introduction. I will see you guys at the end of the week. Alright guys, so I'm at the end of the week now. It's Sunday. I know that I'm not leaving the house and I'm not going to spend any money on anything else today. If for some reason I do, I will put like a little card at the end, but I'm pretty sure that I'm not spending any more money. So let's go over everything that I spent this week. So starting off with rent, I'm gonna include it at the end, but I feel like rent is kind of an important thing to talk about just because it can vary so much depending on where you live, if you have roommates. I personally live in a 1-bedroom apartment very close to where I go to school, and so that means that my rent payment is gonna be pretty expensive because I'm not splitting it with any roommates and I'm in a pretty highly coveted area in terms of living. So my rent for the month is $1,400, and that means that every week I pay about $350. So in addition to that, I also pay about $100 of utilities, which would include things like heat, water, trash removal, maintenance fees for the place that I live, and then I pay $40 a month for internet access. I have really good internet, even though $40 a month I think was actually the least expensive option for me when I signed up through Verizon Fios. So I get pretty fast internet for one of the lower prices, which is really nice. $140-ish a month comes out to about $35 per week. Additionally, I have a car, but I don't have a car payment. It's fully paid off. And I buy gas, honestly, maybe once a month unless I'm going somewhere. So I don't really think I'm going to include that in this calculation. It would be maybe $5. All right, so starting off with Monday. I had a couple of things to do this Monday. I was using it as kind of my errand run day. So the first thing that I did was I went to a local ski and snowboard shop and had my snowboard tuned up. I've had my snowboard for almost 8 years and I've never had it sharpened, and I think I've had it waxed once. So it was about time to actually get that done, and that was a pretty significant cost. It cost me $42.40. I would say that's pretty typical if you're going to get a snowboard wax and sharpen, and like I said, it's never been done before, and I'm about to go on a ski trip with my dad, so there you go. While I was out, I also ran a couple other errands. I had to stop by the pet store where I picked up a bowl for my hamster. She doesn't like to drink out of the water bottle, and so because of that, I have been providing her with water in a bowl because I'm a sucker. I also got her some treats because I've been working on getting her used to me handling her, and I needed like a really high value treat, and I bought her a Whimsy. So that came out to $9.03 at the pet store. And then this is kind of funny. I went to 2 grocery stores. So the first grocery store I went to, I spent $28.55, and I know what you might be thinking, that's not that much for groceries for the week. They didn't have any carts at the grocery store I went to. They were using them all for restocking, and so I had to get everything that I wanted and carry it in my arms. And so because of that, I just picked things that I knew I couldn't get at Target and bought those there. So following that up, I spent $49.79 at Target doing the rest of my grocery shopping. But like, honestly, what grocery store doesn't make carts available for their customers? That's very strange to me. Okay, so moving on to Tuesday, I spent absolutely nothing because I didn't leave the house and I was studying the whole day. So that's a plus. Next up is Wednesday. So on Wednesday, we had a pretty big snowstorm coming in for the latter half of the week, and I realized that I didn't have any toilet paper. So I went to go pick my snowboard back up. That didn't cost me anything because I had already paid when I dropped it off, but I went to the grocery store again and picked up toilet paper and paper towels. Got the goods. I got like a really large thing of paper towels and only a 6-pack of toilet paper at the grocery store because I usually order toilet paper online, and so I ended up also ordering toilet paper online in a much larger amount. So at that grocery store, I spent $21.95, and online from Amazon, I spent $22.25. Those toilet paper and paper towels will probably last me somewhere from like 4 to 6 months, depending on how much I'm using them. All right, so moving on to Thursday and Friday, I did not spend anything either of these days because, like I said, a big snowstorm blew in, so I was snowed in and I was studying, so I didn't go out to buy anything and I didn't buy anything online. Lastly, on Saturday, I did make one frivolous, kind of unnecessary purchase because I saw that Madewell was having a 20% off insider sale, so I bought some plain t-shirts from them. I ended up spending $48.46, and I had a coupon from, I guess, a purchase that I had last made on Madewell, and then I also got free shipping. So I spent about $50 on Madewell on Saturday, which was yesterday. And then, like I said, today is Sunday and I have no intention of purchasing anything online or going out to purchase anything. I have actually plenty of groceries still, so I'm probably not gonna do another grocery trip tomorrow. So that like $70-ish that I spent on groceries earlier in the week is actually going to continue to last me through the beginning of the following week. So realistically, I probably spend about $50 on groceries for an entire week. All right, so that's everything that I spent. Let's talk about the totals. So total without rent and utilities this week, I spent $222.43. If we add rent and utilities in, I spent $607.43. And then lastly, I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about my tuition. So I figured it would be kind of interesting if I broke down my tuition into weekly payments. So I took the cost of attendance for my school, divided that by the 3 trimesters that we have, and then divided that by the number of weeks per trimester, which I believe is about 15. And just to give you guys a sense of how expensive medical school really is, if I do all those calculations, it comes out to $1,726 per week, bringing my total for the week to $2,333.43. Obviously, when I'm managing my finances and thinking about what things that I have to buy during the week, that $17,000 is not really something that I'm actively thinking about because it's already paid directly to the school before I even get a loan disbursement from them. They take out the amount that's required for tuition for that trimester, and then they give me the overflow, which I've budgeted for my living expenses. But I just wanted to bring it up to you guys because medical school is a very expensive endeavor. You have to pay a lot of money, you have to work extremely hard, and one of the things that they tell you if you decide to potentially pursue medicine is if you can see yourself doing any other career, you should do that instead because med school is so grueling, it's so expensive. I want to make an entire video talking about how much you make as a resident because when you're first starting out as a resident, which is a full-fledged physician, you're still learning, but you do have your MD or DO, you make minimum wage when you're working. You're working 80 hours a week making minimum wage. You need to be extremely dedicated to the profession and really love what you're doing in order to make that worth it and to make this entire process worth it. So that's just kind of something I wanted to touch on. I think it would be interesting if you guys had a little bit more perspective on just how expensive it is to go to medical school. Now, if you are someone who's extremely dedicated and you can't see yourself doing anything else, don't let those numbers scare you because there's a lot of financial help in medical school. There are options when you get out of school for repaying loans if you want to spend time in a particular area, or if you decide to go and serve in the military, there are options for how you can pay those things back, which I might be a little bit more comfortable making videos on that if you guys are interested once I'm actually in the residency process. So let me know. I think I've recommended this book before, but if you are a medical student or a resident and you're watching this and you want to know more about finances, read and follow the White Coat Investor book and forum. That's where my understanding of basically everything in terms of medical school finances comes from. My fiance is really into finances, and so he kind of has taught me along the way what to do, what not to do. So yeah, that's my little spiel on medical school. And then I just wanted to share with you guys some general tips that I have for spending money and saving money, etc. for me personally, because in the beginning of the year, honestly, my spending was definitely a little bit out of control. I think when people are stuck inside all day and they have no other way to get their dopamine or serotonin burst, purchasing something online will give you that temporarily, and then once you actually receive the item, you get another small dopamine and serotonin burst, but ultimately you've also purchased something that you really don't need. So I think it's a balance between getting things that are going to make your life easier, especially in terms of like my study setup. I am more willing to spend money on something like my desk or any of the features that are on my desk because I know that that's going to make me more productive in the future versus like a sweater or something from Madewell, which I bought yesterday. In terms of my tips, the first one is to try and fill your time with something other than purchasing. So for me, that includes doing lots of studying. I find when I'm really busy studying, I don't even have the time to think about purchasing things. That's kind of why this week I think was maybe on the lower end compared to my video from last year. I don't actually remember exactly how much I spent last year, but I think this week was less. So when I'm busy studying, I don't tend to buy things. And so you could also fill your time with things like working out, doing art, projects, etc. Video games is a good one, as long as you're doing a video game that you don't need to regularly purchase things from, because that's how they get you. If you're bad like me, one of the things that I did recently that actually helped a lot is I don't let my computer autofill any of my credit cards into websites. So like if a website wants to save my credit card information to make payments easier in the future, I click no specifically. I have a password manager that I used to keep my credit card information in that I also removed that from. That way, if I decide that I really want something, I have to get up and go out of my way to go get the physical credit card wherever it may be. And that actually has proved a pretty large deterrent for purchasing things. I'll sit on it and I'll be like,
I don't really need this right now, because the time that it takes to go walk to the credit card has allowed me to decide that I don't want this. So that's just something that helps me out a little bit. The only exception for that is something like I still leave my information in PayPal and Apple Pay, because I will use those if I'm trying to get something from like a sketchier website or a website that I don't want to repeatedly put my credit card information into. So just be careful if you decide to do that. Another thing that's kind of not really relevant for me right now, but was super relevant when I was going to school to study, is if you go to a place to study like the library, I always pack like lunch and drinks and snacks with me so that I don't have to buy anything on campus, because the campus food is already not always great quality and it's going to be more expensive than if you prepared something at home. This is something that I've never really struggled with because I don't really have any desire to purchase foods when I'm out. I would rather bring my own things. So hopefully that's something I can carry with me into my third year when I'm on clinical rotations, but I'll keep you updated. Another thing is sometimes I go to Panera to study, in which case whenever I have like a birthday or a holiday coming around and my relatives want to give me something, I always ask for Panera gift cards, because I feel bad going into Panera not purchasing anything and just using up the tables and resources, especially when they're so limited right now. So I ask for gift cards so that I can go utilize that space. It'll help me study more effectively because I'm getting a new environment and I don't really have to spend any money. Biggest tip I feel like I have for people is if you are a coffee drinker or a tea drinker, just make it at home. It sounds harder than it really is. It's better and it's less expensive than something like Starbucks or Dunkin', even if you're buying premium coffee grounds. So I get my coffee grounds from a local shop that I love. They have really high quality coffee. It's about $15 for a regular sized bag, which is more expensive than something you'd pick up at the grocery store. But per use or per serving, it's still significantly less expensive than if I went to Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts to get my coffee. Again, the only time when I'll make an exception for that is if I have a coffee shop that I want to study at, then I'll buy a coffee there, and if it's a place that I can get a gift card to, I will definitely try to do that as well. My last tip that I have for you guys, which I have been doing on and off, is that if I see like a piece of gear or a Lululemon thing that I no longer use, I try to sell it on Reddit forums, which sounds sketchy, but it's actually a pretty regulated process, especially if you're using PayPal to send invoices. If I have a piece of gear that I want to upgrade, I will sell the old one on a gear trade forum, or if I have a piece of Lululemon that no longer fits me or that I don't really want anymore, I will sell it on the Lululemon subreddit. This is a good way to not overly accumulate stuff and also get money back for something that you might have purchased before that you now want to upgrade. Usually it's not a ton, but it's better than just having the things sit around in your apartment and do nothing. Yeah, okay, so that's everything that I spent this week. If you guys are interested in seeing the one that I did first year, I will link it above me. I don't know how it compares to this one, but I think it would be kind of cool to see how things have changed from then to now. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Definitely let me know what you think. Subscribe down below to follow along through my medical school journey. Tag Stephan in this video because I want him to judge me. Okay, bye guys!